In the last video of this series, we talk about the sim session itself, what to expect from the briefing room onwards and in terms of scenarios, and how to best approach the session as PF and PM from a leadership and teamwork and CRM perspective. Teamwork and leadership. So it's important for you to understand that leadership is not just the prerogative of the PF. The PM has a very important leadership part to play. It's pilot monitoring. Before it was PF, pilot flying, PNF, pilot not flying, or pilot not in function, okay? That's not the way it is now. Monitoring is an active role. It means you have to help the pilot. If you see a situation develop, you have to voice your concerns. Don't overdo it. Do it appropriately so that you don't drown the PF or frustrate them, but you have to tell them, for instance, it's too high. Hey, I think that we're a bit high. Perhaps if you adjust your rate of descent by 300 feet, it would help. Or if they're flying raw data, I say, okay, you're doing great, or you're a little bit on the left of the localizer. I suggest heading 278 and stuff like that. This is an active monitoring role. Monitoring is an active role that is graded. It will certainly be graded during selection. It will be graded later on when you're on the line. So the PM should monitor, assist, and prompt as required. And if safety is in question, then the PM may have to intervene decisively and take over. So there again, you would use a gradual intervention model where you would start to prompt and prompt and prompt. And now if, for instance, you can have it happens during selection scenarios that people freeze. It does happen, unfortunately. There's too much charge, too much emotional charge, and they freeze. So you could have someone at minimums that doesn't go around. And if you don't take over, you will both fail. So be ready for that. I hope it doesn't happen to you, but by having good CRM throughout the exercise, you'll probably manage to keep your partner on board so that the situation doesn't happen. Okay, so a typical session will be, the briefings will be done in the classroom, which will give you a bit of time so that you don't waste the sim time later on. The airplane will be lined up. So that then you arrive in the sim, the airplane is lined up, engines running, minimum setup by the PF with radio aids and minimum MCP setup because you're not type rated, so you're not supposed to know more than that. So the instructor will do the rest. And you do a minimal rebrief of 30 seconds max if they allow you to, which could be a very, very minimal takeoff review. And then it goes quick once you're in the seat, okay? Now, this is what I would suggest that you do in the classroom briefing. Always start with threats. It's fashionable to do a threats briefing. Some schools teach to do it after. I think it's much more pragmatic to do a threats briefing before, because once you brief the threats, you brief what's important. That's when you have the most energy. It's at the beginning of the briefing. Okay, so you brief the threats, and after that, you can use this WANT acronym: weather, airport, no times, terrain. The charts, check the number and date. Make sure you have the same. The seat name, the runway, and the seat altitude. You don't have to read everything on the chart. Airline pilots that are experienced don't do that. It's like you're on the plane, both of you have checked the FMS against the chart. There's no need to reread the whole thing, but you have to read what's mandatory. What's mandatory is the chart number and date, the seat name, the runway, and the seat altitude. This you have to do. So you brief that because the threats you've briefed before. So if there's a threat such as a frequency change, like there is in Dublin, or any other type of threat such as terrain, like there is also in Dublin in the south, then you can brief it there and you don't have to re-say it again and waste some time, because reading a chart, if you read the full chart, it can take forever and can really drown the other person. Then you would do an emergency briefing. We have a very nice emergency briefing in the sim preparation course that you can rehearse. So you do it before V1, after V1, and then you go on the perf page, you check the weight, check the flap, and check the speeds. And then you ask if there's any questions and call for the before takeoff checklist. You will only have like 4 very simple checklists to do: before takeoff, after takeoff, approach, and landing. That's it. And the instructor is likely to say checked, done, because they have a reduced version of it. You will see them lean on the pedestal and complete the actions that you've not done that are needed, and so on. And you're not supposed to know how to do all this. Good. You're likely to have a non-technical event, such as a sick passenger, a toilet fire at the back, a bomb on board. So write those down, because you have to think of how you would manage. So these non-technical events, they involve a control handover. The biggest mistake is people would be, so you're in the right seat, right, when you do it, and it happens, and then maybe the purser comes and say, oh, we have a sick passenger. And remember, you don't have the autopilot. And so you're there flying, and even if you had the autopilot, you couldn't do it. And you're there flying, and then you're going to start to talk to the person. No. Okay, hang on. And you go, okay, the airplane is flying fine. Navigation is assured. Okay, there's a problem down the back. You have control. Okay, other person takes control, and you go, okay, purser, please, what is the situation? And now you can deal with it. Now you do your DODAR and your NITS, and then you set up the plane, you set up the FMS, which you don't know how to do because you're not type rated. Then you ask the instructor, at this point, I would set up the FMS. Once you've set up the FMS, you take control, You ask the other person to check the FMS and you start your briefing. Okay? And you maintain situational awareness throughout. Because at some point during your DODAR, you're going to come to a decision as to what's going to be the best airport to go to. There is more to it. I expand on it a lot in Advanced Interview Course version 2 to give you a full scope of how you can come to a good decision in any kind of problems, any kind of situations. And it involves a model that's a little bit more advanced and also for you to pre-think some scenarios. So here you've got 3 that you need to think of. You would want to pre-think your actions. I often say, as if you are flying single engine pistons, you probably have around 10 scenarios in your mind that you should be able to cater for, and you already know roughly what you're going to do. If you're flying a twin, maybe you've got 15. If you're flying a 737 or an Airbus 320, maybe you've got 40, because now you've got more complicated systems. And if you've got a long-haul plane, now we're talking about 100, because you've got a more complex plane, more people flying further, and yeah. So you have to know these, and this part of your job, to learn more and more and more scenarios that are sort of prefabricated in your head, so that you can focus after that on the variables. Okay, so to conclude this part, the skills pilots need to succeed at airline selections are, as you can see, they are numerous. Most candidates, when they leave flight school, they underestimate this. Flight schools, they really focus on getting you a license. Very few of them focus on also giving you all the tools you need to get you a job. And actually, it's not part of their remit. The bit where you teach yourself how to pass the selection, it actually befalls on you. And so many of these skills are not within the remit of the ATO. And yeah, specialized training is required to optimize your success. It's the last thing you're going to need to invest in and the last thing you're going to need to do before you enter the airline. So you're very close now to the finish line. You've done all of this work for so long now, and this is the last thing you're going to need to convince the airline that you mean business, that you are keen, that you know your stuff, that you've learned as much as possible on the job. Yeah, so at the interview stage, we've got Advanced Interview Course version 2, which of course you know is the only e-learning course in the world focused on airline selections. So it's here in the chain. And so this course is in version 2 now, so it's got a lot more detail. So 13 hours of content. I've got 5 case studies, one on Air France, British Airways, EasyJet, low-cost Irish airline, and Wizz Air. And we've done it this way because once you understand these 5 airlines, you can understand them all pretty much. The 16PF questionnaire and debrief, which makes this really unique because you got a real questionnaire. You can really learn to see how you will be perceived by an airline that uses a personality questionnaire and see where your areas of weakness could be perceived so that you can prepare your questions better. You get monthly Q&A sessions with an iOS and an iPadOS app. We are introducing a psychometric assessment tool as well. And you have the option of a one-to-one with me, which is at an extra fee, which I really recommend if you're going for a major airline selection. The modules, you can look at that if you're curious about the modules on the Advanced Interview Course page, which I will give you a QR code in a second and you can go and take a look at it. But believe me, it is detailed and it is very well segmented. And people tell me that the production quality on version 2 really made it enjoyable to watch. If you want to take a look at the modules, what's inside Advanced Interview Course version 2, you could just go ahead and you can flash the code. I will take you straight to the course where you will see another video. You will see me talking again about the course. And there you will see all the modules and all of that. Okay, now the SIM preparation course is the only e-learning course for SIM selection. And this is a course that adds a lot of operational knowledge. I like to say it's a SIM preparation and operational knowledge course. Now, you will see in the pricing that actually it's not a very big step from Advanced Interview Course to the Gold package, which gives you the CV and cover letter and the SIM preparation course. So it gives you a lot more. And I think it's a really great course to start to really understand what is the life of an airline pilot on top of learning how to fly the plane. So again, I will invite you, I'll give you a QR code in a second. You can go and check the video I've recorded there to explain the detail of the course. And so now we have also these aircraft fact sheets, which in the case of the 737 includes an explanation of the MCAS and some more information that will be useful to you. And this is the QR code where you can get the course now. Good. Okay, you can download our app as well. If you want to contact me directly, you can. I go on Discord. Come and see us on Discord. You can subscribe and like the channel. It will be a pleasure to get to see you again very soon.